Okay, hi guys. Today I would like to share my experience with the Sharp Knife and Tool Sharpener. So I'm owning this machine for about a year now. I've got a lot of experience now with sharpening different knives, etc. And I also ruined some, so I thought it might be a good idea for people like you who are watching and would like to know more about it, to avoid some typical mistakes you are doing and to know how I am at least getting the best results out of this machine. So the sharpener is pretty simple concerning construction. So you've got the belt which is running here. It's running in this direction. So it's going down here, coming up here again. The angle you can change. So if you pull back here, you can twist it. This is more thought to be if you're working with freehand, maybe on an axe or something, so you can turn it forward and start working on your axe. What I'm doing when I'm sharpening knives is actually using it on a desktop, on the tabletop. Over here you've got the handle, so it's actually made for right-handed people. I'm actually a lefty, but if you're also a lefty, I'm also shooting with my right hand and doing a lot of things because I wanted to get away to always have to have something special extra. Left hand guitars, left hand rifles, left hand, okay, pistols is not that important. Over here you've got your on and off switch. Then what's this little wheel, if you turn it, it twists this upper guiding belt guide a little bit, so it's for centering it. So for example, if I switch it on, you will see it's running. It's quite a bit loud, so I'm explaining first. If I turn here, it twists and the belt is either left, right or centric, so I will show you. Changing the belts, pretty simple. You push down here, turn, and then it's being held in this position. You take out your belt, yeah, okay, the gray one, it's pretty soft, so you have to make sure you can get it out. Then you insert the new belt. Make sure you're going underneath this little guide here, not on top of it, so it has to be underneath. Then turn again, so it's the guide is coming up. So I'm always doing this a little bit manually, so if it's not inserted completely, so it basically jumps in. And then you are checking if it's centered. If it's centered, you basically centering it again. The Sharp comes with, that's at least how I got it, with 3 different guides or angle guides. So that's the standard one. It's 20 degrees or for 40 degrees knives, because if the knife and the blade has got 40 degrees, which means the sharpening angle is exactly half of it, so 20 degrees on every side. Okay, that's the center, so you've got 20 degrees here, 20 degrees there, 40 degrees in total. Then you've got an open guide like this. It's also for 40 degrees knives, so 20 degrees sharpening angle on each side. Then for 60 degrees scissors, so with scissors you're only sharpening one part of the scissor. And for serrated knives on this end, so it's actually meant for not for sharpening the serrated side, so the rough side. So it's meant for sharpening the back side. As you can see here, you have to be very careful. I didn't know this, and you can see. I already reduced the serration a little bit here. I started with this knife. That was the first serrated knives I was doing, and you only have to, or you must only use the very fine belt. That's a gray one. Then we've got another angle guide. So that's for 50 degree knives, so 25 degrees sharpening angle plus 65 degrees scissors and the serration again. Belts. There are 3 standard belts. The gray one, which is a 6000. So for me, that's the polishing belt. Plus, if you are doing resharpening. So if you sharpened your knife once on the workshop, and if it then needs resharpening, you should only use the gray belt. If you only have to use the rougher one, actually, when the blade is broken, not broken, has got some damage, or it's rusty. So usually, if you're resharpening, quite often you only need to use the gray one on the second and the following sharpenings. Then the red one, which is a 220. That's the standard belt you are using first if it's a new knife or if you have to repair the knife. That's the standard belt, and there's also a 81. That's yes, it's 80. It's a very, very rough belt. I only used this once on an X, but I don't have really much experience with this belt, so I will not talk too much about it. Just one surprise. Ta-da! Made in Germany. I'm German, but I don't know if this is just for the European market, because I don't want to ship it. So I have no idea if it's the same in the US. Okay. What I did so far. So I sharpened pocket knives. That's a Gerber Gator, I think. 440 C steel. I sharpened these finish knives. So that's a Mora Companion. Stainless steel. This is a Fiskars knife. Nearly the same. Also stainless steel blade. And I found that these types of knives, so the Fiskars in Europe, you can get below 10 euros. Very, very cheap. It's not high quality, but the blade is fine. The handle is not the best one, but it's very, very nice for sharpening and to train sharpening, and for training basically on your sharpening tool, because it goes very fast. And after training on these knives, you know how sharp you can get a knife with this machine. It's not very complicated. The blade size is fine. It's very good to insert into the angle guides. The thickness of the blades are also very fine for this. So I would recommend you purchase one of these cheap knives just to start training. What I did, I've got a set of kitchen knives at home, which were pretty cheap, but the big ones. I started sharpening or testing the sharpening tool with these kitchen knives, and the problem really was I don't know what kind of steel it is, but it's very brittle steel or whatever, so it was nearly impossible to have really a very, very sharp knife. So I think that's the steel is too brittle that when the blade actually is getting thinner and thinner, then it starts, micro parts are starting breaking out. But what I learned from these brittle material is actually how you need to protect the top part or the front part of your knife. So I will explain this when we are using the machine, so I will demonstrate it in a minute. Then I also sharpened this standard hunting outdoor knife. It's 440 C steel, a little bit thicker, but works fine. I also got this very, very sharp, pretty easy. But the experience from sharpening these knives helped me a lot, basically, to get this sharp. What was a problem was this thing. So I don't know the English name for this. In Germany it's called Saufeder. So it's actually for wild boar hunting. And the problem here was, so I can show you this. So I will demonstrate this with this guide, because I can demonstrate it better. Actually, you should use this more open one for this knife. But for demonstration purposes, so you can see what I mean, I will take this one. So since it's very thick, if you insert it, you're touching the guide part, and it's very, very thick. So you insert it, you have no idea where actually your angle is. It's very hard to pull through, and also it's very likely you losing some contact to the belt. So even if you use the more open guide, you will see you can insert it. Now the question is, do I insert it until here? If you put a little bit farther or further down, you can see here on this side you're losing the contact because the blade is round. It's very, very thick here. Then you've got the a little bit hollow part over here. So it's a curve in here. So it's very, very hard actually to hold the angle. So I got it sharp, but it was not the bad idea. So for sharpening these big blades, I would recommend either you try to do it freehand, but for a knife blade, especially if it's a little bit more expensive like this one, I wouldn't do it. So I think either a Japanese flat stone, if you basically do the standard sharpening, is a good idea, or you use a round sharpening tool, electric one. So sharpening. The standard procedure when using a knife you've never sharpened on the workshop would be you start with the red belt, the 220. Then you start always on the right side first because the belt is running down here. And then you pull it through as often until you're feeling the bevel. And then you count how many times you pulled it through, and then you're switching to the next side or to the other side and pull it through the same amount of times you pulled it through here. The bevel will be stronger, felt stronger on this side. So the reason is pretty simple. If the belt is running in this direction and you put your knife on top of the belt, it will bend the bevel into this direction, and the material, the wear off of the material from that's done by the belt to the edge is not as strong as if the belt is running in this direction and you've got your knife here. It's basically running against the edge of the blade. So you will also have a bevel, but a very, very small one, because the belt that's coming up is taking this material away, so it will not be that long because there's much more pressure. Then afterwards you are changing to the polishing belt, the 6000, and then you're doing it one after another. So one left, one right, one left, other way around. I'm a lefty, so one right, one left, one right, one left. You always stop on the left side, so you can reduce the bevel and get a very nice polished edge of the blade. So now comes the important part. What you don't want to have, that's, I think, if I would have one danger sharpening with this tool, so one dangerous thing that can damage your knife, that's really the tip of the knife. So as you take a closer look at the belt, so what's happening, it can twist. Now, if you pull the knife out, and if the tip is crossing the center line of the belt, it can bend, and then it will basically attack the tip quite badly. So what you always do, you pull only until the tip of the blade is in the center line, and then you stop. you stop pulling, and also you stop the machine. What you also shouldn't do, which I've seen sometimes on the internet, is a kind of swinging type of pulling. So when you're coming out, that people are doing like this. So they swing out. Looks pretty artistic. Maybe it really looks pretty cool, but doesn't make sense. You have to pull out straight. The Can Onion edition, that's basically the successor edition of this tool. They've got a guiding rod over here. You can basically put it over here, so it looks. I think it's a little. I haven't seen it in real life, so I just saw it on the internet. So you've got this guide. I just turn the blade so I don't cut myself. You put it onto the guide and then you can pull it out. That's very, very cool. So I think that's one of the best things they changed to the Can Onion edition, because then it's very, very easy to keep the tip of the blade straight, and also to pull the knife straight out. Another thing is you will not run the machine continuously. You will insert the blade, start the machine, pull out, switch the machine off, and stop the knife, as I said before, over here. Reason is pretty simple. If you run the machine continuously, if you're inserting the knife, the amount of time the belt will work on the blade will be larger on the inserting part, because you're inserting it and it starts attacking it, basically, or taking off material, and then you pull out. So you position your knife without the machine running. Very important. So what I will do now, I think we will go through one sharpening, and we will start with the red belt. So I sharpened this knife on the machine before, but to show you, we will just do the standard procedure. And then we will see how it's working out. So I inserted the belt, I centered it before. So for you to see it better, I will take the open one. So now it's something very important, which I learned through my first sharpenings. If you insert the knife, the first thing you should do is you get contact with the angle guide. So you make sure your angle of the blade to the belt is correct. But then don't concentrate on the angle guide. Concentrate on your blade having contact to the belt, because the angle guide you can feel, so you don't have to concentrate too much on it. Just get in contact and then start pulling. So concentrate on the knife having contact to the belt. Why? That's pretty simple. Your blade is not straight, it's coming down over here. So if this is the belt, you won't have any changes until about here, and then suddenly the blade goes up. And as we said before, we don't want to, like you would do on a rotating sharpening stone or a Japanese stone. We don't want to use this movement, because it's actually it's not meant to be done with this tool. And you also want, that's because the pressure should be the same everywhere. So what we want to do, we want to put it straight out, but over here you will see the blade will lose the contact to the belt. So put it in, get contact to the guiding, the angle guide, then pull out slowly, and over here what I do, I make sure that the blade has got contact, so it goes a little bit deeper, and I also put a little bit of pressure into this direction. I'm not sure if this is meant to be, but I learned that this is really the best idea for the tip of the blade, since I'm not turning it upside to get the enough pressure and enough belt contact. And then again, stop in the middle of the belt and don't do this kind of movement. again from this side, don't do this kind of movement. Avoid this. You will have a nice, very, very nice round blade. And again, we do this several times on this side. We check the bevel every time. So the bevel will always be on the opposite side of where the belt had contact to the knife. If you can feel it very nicely everywhere, you have to switch to the other side. Count the times you're putting through here and then do the same over here. So since it's very loud, I will stop talking now. So we simply start. And I think I will only have to do 2 or 3 pulls, because this knife, as I said, it's very easy to sharpen with it. And again, you start the machine after inserting and getting your contact to the rod, the guiding, the angle guide. Okay, so let's start. Put it in, twist. Okay, I need a little bit more on the top, on the front part of the knife. Yeah, now it's very nice. So we did 3, so we will do 3 on the other side also. The last one was not perfect. You saw the knife fell down a little bit. So now I've got a very nice bevel. I changed the belts. I used the gray one, and there's one tip I saw on the internet which was pretty nice. So what you can do, you can use polishing paste and apply it to the belt basically, which gives you a very, very nice result also. You just have to make sure that the knife you're trying to polish will stand it. So I tried it on this and it was a little bit too tough already. So it's too strong polishing basically for these knives. So center it. Now the difference. When you're polishing, you're changing every time. So one side at a time. So you're not doing 3 or 4 pulls on each side, so you're doing one only. You can do this quite often, so this belt will not harm your knife. The better you polish, the better your result will be. So I will pull it through several times right now. Same procedure, insert, get contact, start pulling. Other side. Oh. Okay, I thought I felt a little bevel. So, let's see. Okay, you can hear it, it's cutting. Yeah. So these knives, as I said, very easy to sharpen with it. I can shave with this one. You can really shave yourself also in the face. Okay. Yeah, very sharp. A little bit thicker blade, same angle, same sharpness. Actually, the cutting experience with this blade, I think the steel is a little bit better, is smoother. So with this blade, you've got the feeling, it's a little bit serrated, it's scratchy or something. So it's biting a little bit. It's a little bit hooky, so it's not very smooth, so it rattles a bit. But I think that's because of the steel. With this one it's very, very smooth. Very, very smooth. Okay, what else to say? I like it. Works pretty well. As I said, not for the big knives. If you got more experience with sharpening large knives, big knives, please put it into the comments. I'm really interested on more experience of how to sharpen with this tool, because at the moment I'm kind of addicted to sharpening knives to see how sharp I can get them. Just at the moment is one of my topics. If you want to sharpen your axe, I haven't tried it really. If somebody of you has got some more experience with it, please let me know. So to summarize it, you've got different belts. Standard procedure is, for knives at least, start with a red belt, the 220. Polishing is done with the gray belt, it's a 6000. If you want to, if I would resharpen this knife, for example, or the other one, which I sharpened before, so the angles, etc., are set for this machine, you only need to use the gray one, at least if you haven't used the knife too much. Then again, what's important, insert the knife, find your angle, then concentrate on the blade contact to the belt. Don't concentrate on the angle guide too much, because you can feel it. When pulling the knife through, stop with the tip of the blade in the center line of the belt, because otherwise it will twist and attack your tip, so you will get a round tip. Pull straight, don't let your knife drop at the end, because again this will also destroy the tip of your blade. When you start with the machine switched off, insert your knife, start the machine, pull until the center line, stop the machine, insert, start again. So that the reason for this was, when it's running, when you're inserting the knife, you will lose a lot of material, more material here. Okay, so far my experience. Some greetings from Germany, depending where you're sitting and where you're watching. And I'm thankful for any kind of feedback, more experiences with this workshop. And I would also be happy if it really helped you using this tool. Please let me know, put something to the comments. Thanks a lot and bye.